Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you've been before, thanks for coming. Yeah, I tried to do this video earlier and then I realised I started it from the wrong end, so I'm starting again. So I wanted to talk about, I started drawing the other day. Now I did an update recently on on all my projects, tarot related projects, and I've got a few on the go, but I'm figuring out that I'm happy to work on like a few projects side by side, and maybe they'll all just like suddenly be finished at the same time, and I'll have 5 decks ready, and I can retire on the proceeds. Obviously, I don't believe that, but I don't know. I enjoy doing a few different things at once, so I'm still working on some photography decks, and and I'm doing some stuff like digitally as well, like drawing digitally by hand, but on a tablet, and then experimenting with, and the program's called Procreate, and you can experiment with different ways of coloring and things like that, which is really cool. But I was sitting the other day and thinking about my collections, my deck collections, and I have a lot of forest related decks. Like, it's my biggest category, I guess, like aside from historical decks. And historical decks like is a big category which includes things like Italian decks and Marseille and blah blah blah. So that's my biggest part of my collection, but still I have quite a few like RWS and a couple of Toth based decks, and the majority of those, or the largest category of those, has something to do with forests or woodland, and it's just something I've always loved. I love forests. I love walking in forests and living nearby forested areas, and taking my dogs to forests and taking my child to forests. It's just and I love stories about forests, and so it's been one of the main kind of things that has drawn me to decks, is when they are linked to like woodland or forest themes. And I was thinking about this, and I've been kind of sitting with my Marseille decks as well, and I was thinking about like a few different interesting kind of Marseille themes, but I suddenly thought, what about a forest Marseille, or like a Marseille of trees or something like that. There's so many beautiful trees RWSs out there, and I mean Marseille's already, it's got florals kind of built into it, and something like this. So I just thought about how you could work with that. My dog flapping her ears, and the flowers, and and kind of turn them into branches and trees and nuts and seeds. So I did a sketch, and that was this one. And it was the card that was on the top of the deck, so I just sketched it yesterday. And it's the strength card, obviously, and I was thinking about strength and oak. An oak tree is obviously kind of a strength symbol, or related to the symbol of strength. Trees Marseille I'm thinking like forest, trees of the Marseille of the forest or something. Anyway, so yeah, I sketched her by hand, and then added in some oak branches, acorns, and then oak leaf patterning on her dress. And I don't know about colouring, if I'm gonna, maybe watercolour would be nice, I've been enjoying working with watercolour. And I've got a new palette with some really cool colours in it actually, so maybe I'll try with that. But yeah, I'm thinking that that might be nice to kind of match the majors with particular trees. If you have any suggestions, feel free to put them in the comments about which trees you feel go with particular major arcana. But I thought what I'd do is just like look through my existing trees decks and or forest related decks and think about how associations have been made. Like some of them are less like, they're not really like a tree is associated with a particular arcana. And I know there are decks like that. I don't actually have any, I don't think. I've got a couple of oracles. But it's more like the vibe of the different decks and the themes of forest and how they've been built into these decks. So I'm just going to talk through some of the decks that I've got that have that kind of theme. I'll do the oracles first, and then I'll have a look at some tarots as well. So yeah, first of all, we've got something like this one, Forest Fae, which is Curious Messages of Enchantment by Nadia Turner. And it's just one of the little rock pool decks. I love this one. Enter the forest, seek wonder and enchantment, and hear the curious messages of the forest fae. I think it's my only fae deck. I don't have fairy decks or fae decks. I'm not, but I love the little animals in this one. And the messages are really nice and just sort of little wise messages. And they're open-ended, and you know, you can see how they might apply on a particular day. You can decide how you want to apply them. I edged it and it bled a little, but I don't mind. Owl Song, whisper secrets to the moonlight, find strength in stillness. Or the Troll, follow the secret signs, as treasures can be found where you least expect them. And then yeah, you have lots of trees in here. The Wild God, go to the woods, to moss, to mud, to magic. I love it. If I had a nice big wet wood near me, I would take the advice. I've actually just been out and there's a little wood nearby. It's very hot here, so it's a bit dry, but it was nice to go out and get into the shade of the trees and with my dogs, and you always feel a bit more relaxed when you're inside a wood, I think. Connect to the spirits and energy of your local landscape. Yeah, it's a really nice woodland forest themed deck. The Green Maid, and then I think you do have the Green Man as well. The Wood Wife. Lots of the spirits themselves are kind of wood spirits, you know. So yeah, that is a really nice little deck. Let things go. All things are possible on the borderlands. We've just had a crazy couple of days here. It's, you know, the war finished, which, thank God, it looks like it's come to an end, and it does feel a little bit like things are possible again, which it hasn't felt for a while, a couple of years. So I know I don't talk about it much here on my channel. It's not a political space, but yeah, it's been a wild couple of days. Yeah, things feel like they've finally shifted. Anyway, we'll see. Hoping very much. Okay, so this is off topic. This is the Secrets of Wandwood, an enchanted woodland oracle. And again, you know, well, this is like the whole thing is about a particular wood. So take an enchanted journey with Matlock the Hare deep into Wandwood and discover ancient mysteries and spectacular secrets. So the authors, Jackie Lovesian, her husband, whose name I've forgotten, Phil, have created this kind of world, and Matlock the hare is like the main character. So the book, you draw a card, and it has like a little kind of parable, and it's all written from the perspective of Matlock the hare. So like for first person. So yeah, keeper of locks. And there's a big tree. As a young magical hare, there were many times when I felt unsure. Sometimes it would be a decision weighing on my mind, occasionally keeping me up at night. And then, yeah, it's this story about this tree, which is a tree full of locks. I've read this one before, it's really interesting. And then the card is decisions, how to make a decision. Yeah, so on first glance, this tree appears little more than a puzzle. Which lock fits the key? And then at the end of the kind of story, it gives you like a little bit of advice or whatever. Any choice or decision is rarely the unlocking of just one door. Yeah. So it's a really nice way of kind of helping you remember the meaning, or, you know, the image, the way the image relates to the keyword is done through the story. And so if you remember something about the story, you remember why the keyword is there, and it kind of sparks memory of the image, you know. So it's a really nice way of doing it, I think. And at the same time, the images are gorgeous, and it's all set in this beautiful magical wood. There's a nighttime one. Nature, and he's always going off walking around the wood and meeting weird and random creatures. And they have their own words, like Thastaculus is like really cool, and Twizzled is confused and stuff like that. So yeah, they've developed this whole sort of language, not language, but, you know, vocabulary and types of animals and sacred stones and things like that, as part of the world building, which is really nice. So that is a really nice sort of in-depth wood/forest deck. Secrets of Wandwood. What else have we got? Oh yeah, so this is one of the oracles that does kind of use trees specifically. So this is the Wisdom of Trees, by somebody whose name I forget, but then alongside the artist Marilia Allwood, who also illustrated the, what's it called, Forest of Enchantment. So these are her illustrations, but then somebody else wrote the book. And I had to modify this. I really like the images, and I like the guidebook, but I didn't like having to turn to the guidebook every time, because a date palm, if I saw an image of a date palm and the words date palm, it didn't give me anything. So I had to look at the book every time. And these keywords here, I've written both keywords obviously, but the keywords on the right are the keywords that the author gave to the trees. So Sugi, sacredness, date palm, grace, European beach, sustenance. But then the ones on the left are ones that I added, and I added them partly by kind of going through and reading the guidebook, but then also another book about trees and their symbolism that I have. And then from there I kind of, and sometimes on a very personal level, added a second keyword. So yeah, in this case, beach as sustenance, but then I added intellectual sustenance, not just material sustenance. And I think that came possibly from the books. Here you've got, the pomegranate, obviously links to Persephone and the inner journey was the actually I wonder if that was the keyword from the book. Fidelity and peace for the linden. Oak, yeah, so steadfastness was the main keyword, and then there's this lightning in the back and a story about how oak can channel lightning, and this idea of steadfastness within a storm. I thought was interesting. I keep getting this card at the moment, horse chestnut, and for me it was kind of speaking about being considerate to, so people have a spiky outside, but you know, often they're quite smooth and soft on the inside and easily hurt or damaged, easily scratched. So yeah, this idea of conkers and when you're a kid and how you can accidentally hurt people. So it's been speaking to me of, you know, being careful with people's emotions, trying not to hurt them. You know, we're all like children really, hitting each other with conkers and sometimes accidentally hurting each other. Yeah, you, Sentinel of the Dead. So yeah, I actually really like the keywords I've added to this. And here, obviously with some of these keywords, maybe I can draw on this a little bit in terms of the types of trees that I might use for particular arcana, although they're not the major arcana, they don't map onto them so easily, but there might be some, I mean, olive, you know, maybe I can use the olive for one of the majors. The banyan, this is the strangler fig. Ends up killing the tree that it anchors itself on. And baobab, they're amazing. Saw them in Australia and also in Africa. They call them the upside down tree because they look like roots in the air. And this is where the Buddha gained enlightenment. The Bodhi tree, I went there once in Bodh Gaya in India. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and maybe I can use it as imagine a major arcana with orange tree fruit in the background. So if you have any ideas, but anyway, I'm going to have a look through that and see if I can come up with some ideas for how to align the majors with particular trees, kind of foresty trees, you know. So that's a nice one. Then what else have we got? We've got Naomi Cornock's Old Ways Magic Oracle, which was an indie deck that I got in the UK. And this also, I mean, it has these beautiful kind of tree-based naturescapes. I use this just for intuitive readings. I don't really read the book. Hope. That's what we've got. A little bit of hope. Yeah. So they're absolutely beautiful images, and the people kind of grow out of the trees, and he grows out of the sea. But look at that, this woodland, holly and mushrooms, and these beautiful badgers. I mean, I don't think my sketches are ever going to be as good as this, but how to build like treescapes into the Marseille majors. It's just quite inspiring. I mean, her line work, her sketches are absolutely beautiful. Clarity. See, fox for me is always about wildness. That's amazing. I love that picture. Yeah. Oh, growth. Can be an emperor card, can't it? But yeah, again, not necessarily about aligning, but about how to bring trees like a forest theme into a deck. This one is less foresty, but it does have some tree association. So this is the Magical Botanical. It came out a few years ago and was, I think, quite popular at the time, but you don't see it much anymore. And I think it's because the images are quite small on the card, so it's very hard to see the detail. You can see it now because I'm zooming in, but I find it hard to make out the detail on the cards, and the images are actually bigger. The guidebook is amazing. It's a really good book. So I mean, as a standalone, magical book about the uses of particular kind of witchy plants and their associations, it's brilliant as a book. But it makes the cards the cards aren't as nice because the pictures are a bit smaller and harder to see. So if I draw a card, I'll turn to the book and look at the picture of the book so I can see it more clearly. So you end up not really using the cards so much. I'm not drawn to them very often, I have to say. I etched them in red. They're very pretty. I mean, the drawings are stunning, Again, beautiful art, but yeah. But anyway, blah blah. And also, it doesn't have keywords, so you always have to read the book as well. So there's willow, for example. But again, it might be a good guidebook to look at in terms of associations for some of the trees. A lot of them are plants, but there's oak. I could have a look at oak. I love that one, it's great. Dragon tree. Thorn apple. That's a flower though, I think. Yeah, a lot of them are flowers rather than trees. Where have all the trees gone? There are a few in here, I'm sure. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. Holly, there we go, there's another tree. Well, bush, I suppose. But yeah, there were only 33 cards as well, which I didn't know when I bought it that was going to feel like not enough. When you shuffle and draw and there isn't enough. There aren't enough cards, I don't think. I think 44. A lot of people have mentioned it. See you. I mean, it's beautiful, but the detail is really quite hard to see on the card itself. But yeah, I can have a look at the book again and see those associations. Very beautiful deck. These pouches, I made them from South African shwe shwe fabric. And it's really nice. It's like kind of slightly waterproof printed fabric that a lot of people make dresses and things from in South Africa. Okay, we've got the Woodland Wardens, another option for, and this is obviously it's woodland. I think the idea is, so there aren't that many trees in it again, but the idea is that all of these animals and plants come from woodland context. So you do get some trees again in here, so like the elk and ash. So the ash tree. Cedar. So again, maybe having a look at the ways that the what's her name, Jessica Rue, associated particular trees. There's chestnuts again, you see. Preparation. See, that's quite a different keyword than the one that I had in the other deck. Be nice to include a chestnut in the majors, and pine. I mean, pine forests are amazing, aren't they? So silent, and all the needles underfoot. Yeah, so I mean, I love this deck. It's absolutely beautiful. And a peach tree. Birch. Oh, I've got to include silver birch. I love silver birch. One of the most beautiful trees. I've actually got to show you a little hair made from silver birch. From some independent sellers actually, but they sell through Amazon. It's a really nice little shop. I forgot the name of it, but I'll pop it in the description if I remember. But yeah, they sell really beautiful pieces, and you can get them from Amazon, which is amazing. Like a little heart nose. But yeah, that's my silver birch hair. Yeah, so I think birch must definitely be one of the majors. I should start writing these down because I'm going to forget. What else have I got? Yeah, I've got quite a collection, really, of forest-related decks. I think that's all the oracles. In terms of tarot decks, there's the folkloric forest. I've showed this a few times. I'm not going to go through it in any depth. In fact, I'll jump to the minors because you often don't get to the minors, and the minors are gorgeous in this deck. I haven't shuffled it yet, so I'm still waiting to use it. But oh, there's one just before that that's gorgeous. Yeah, look at that. These are all kind of forest floor kind of animals in the minors, and obviously the artwork is just stunning because I mean Lennox Reese took these from masterpieces from paintings by European masters, so they're just absolutely amazing pictures. I haven't dug into it enough to know the associations very well yet, but I'm really looking forward to it now that it's that time of year. I think that this is going to be really, yeah, look at these forest scenes. So again, it's like the whole vibe is the foresty kind of vibe. Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing my Marseille deck like a European painting master though. But maybe the colours or something, I can think about the palette. Yeah, I won't be including animals, like literally just, it's all birds in the quartz. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. So another forest themed deck. Every time I see a forest deck, I'm like, oh, I've got to get that. This one, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah. I didn't think twice. That is for me. So that's beautiful. And then there is, of course, the Forest of Enchantment, which is like one of my heart decks. I absolutely love this deck. I know a lot of these cards sort of inside out. Not all of them, but I mean, I used it a lot. It was one of my first decks when I expanded my collection. And the whole thing about this deck is that it's set in a forest, and the white heart is the fool, and the heart steps into the forest, and then basically the idea is that as the heart you have all of these experiences in the forest, and you come out the other side like changed but with loads of experience. I thought I was going to find the heart there, but I didn't. No, I'm just doing this backwards. Never mind. But anyway, it's all about the wood, and it's about, look at that. The whole deck kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings, and I love Lord of the Rings. So this is like Frodo hiding from in Fangorn Forest, hiding from the trees marching, or hiding from the Black Riders, you know, it's that kind of sense. And there's, yeah, the whole thing about going into the forest and having these frightening experiences, or experiences that test you, and then coming out the other side. It's like Frodo going through Fangorn, or Bilbo going through, which one did he go through? That forest full of spiders, you know. The hermit living under the roots. Yeah, it reminds me of other kind of fairy stories from my childhood as well. It's almost like the Folly. It's almost like, what's his name, with the tower in Lord of the Rings. And then there's these, like, this is a like a fairy story that I used to read to my daughter, where the princesses go out every night and dance, and then they come back exhausted. It's that kind of fairy story. Anyway, it's such a beautiful deck. Look at that. I wonder what kind of tree that is. They do, in the guidebook, they do name some of the trees as well. I'll have to have a look. I can't remember what kind of tree that is. Is that holly? Not sure. No, I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. Yeah, because that might be, here we go. So that's the heart entering the forest, and then this is at the end of the mages, as the heart leaves the forest after all the experiences. So yeah, it's that sense of a journey, and the journey is through the forest, which is just beautiful, isn't it? I don't know if I could build that amount of meaning into the mages of a Marseille, a trees Marseille. Okay, then we've got, so this I guess is the kind of most foresty Marseille-esque deck I've got. It's not a Marseille, but it's the Tower of Geoffroy and Solace, which is a German deck of playing cards combined with so in France, Geoffroy copied a German playing card deck for the minor arcana of his tarot, and then he designed his own major arcana to go with it. Some of those cards were missing, but basically this this artist recreated that. Her name is Ella Mortimer, and yeah, they're really quite unusual, and there's a lot of kind of tree type. I mean, look at the backs. Wow. So there's a lot of florals kind of built into the deck. Not so much in the majors. Is this in order? Yeah, it is. Huh. Must have unshuffled it for a walkthrough. Yeah, so not so much in the majors, but when you get to the minors, these aren't in order. It's the peacocks, I suppose, that have the most kind of foliage. A little bit of trees there. Yeah, the lions are on these kind of, I don't know what kind of structure, but yeah, the peacocks are all sitting, parrots, sorry, are all sitting on these branches. And the monkeys are kind of in tree formations as well. Yeah, anyway, it's gorgeous. I love it. So that is something maybe for the pips to think about. There's the peacocks. To think about how to redesign the pips. I'd want to stick pretty closely to Marseille, but perhaps I could choose like one tree for each suit. Not sure. Thinking about that out loud. and then yeah, and then design it around spreading branches of that tree. Look at that, vines. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, so that is an idea. Roses. Are roses trees? Not really, are they? Rose bushes. So yeah, that is the Tarot of Geoffroy and Solace by Ella Mortimer. Very, very pretty deck. And that might be useful in my thinking process. What else have I got? This one isn't really tree or forest themed, but there's quite a lot of kind of foresty type cards in there. No, I can't open it. What's going on? There it is. It's just in orange. The Chrysalis Tarot. Another very beautiful tarot. And yeah, I don't know, it still feels kind of like a foresty deck. That kind of Celtic. And there's all these beautiful borders as well. Acrobat, look at that. Stag running through the forest. Yeah, and the crows. Yeah, there are a lot of kind of woody, look at that, scrolls. Ravens is like a whole tree with an eye. It's a gorgeous deck. The Wheel of Fortune and that huge tree behind. So yeah, again, it's sort of, and these branches at the back there. Feels foresty to me. Wow. It's so funny with this bear. That's actually in the next deck I'm going to show you. There's a similar image with the bear on a rock. Yeah. I mean, this one doesn't explicitly say anything about it being forest related, but it just definitely has this kind of woody theme. Yeah, it's just a very pretty. Tony Brooks and Holly Sierra. And I believe it's from 2014 or something like that. US Games, yeah, 2014. I love the quartz in this. They're all like clowns and jugglers and things. Temperance. Oh, look at her. Queen of Mirrors. Anyway, yes, another beautiful foresty kind of deck that I've got. I really wanted the one that I keep thinking about getting, but then I still haven't, is the Robin Hoodie kind of themed one, because I'm from Nottingham and I hear you know, Simon from Hermit's Cave talking about it a lot. What's it called? I've actually got the app, so I've got a couple of forest themed apps as well. I don't really use them very much, but they're kind of nice to have. Oh, that's right, it's the Wildwood. So I've thought about getting this like hard copy, but you know, it's quite similar to Forest of Enchantment in a lot of ways. I mean, I know it's different, but the World Tree, isn't that nice? I opened it up on the World Tree. I haven't opened this up for ages. Yeah, so obviously, I mean, everybody's seen this deck, or a lot of people have seen this deck, but again, it's that kind of woodland, green man themed. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, that's one question, whether I stick with kind of British trees, or if I think more European, maybe that's a good idea, because I mean it's French, the Marseille, isn't it? So maybe I kind of go for European. I mean, they're probably the same, European and British trees. Okay, I'm talking nonsense now. So yeah, this is a new to me deck, but again, feels like it's set in a kind of foresty. Yeah, so it says it's a mystical post-apocalyptic forest. And as soon as somebody says that, I'm like, I need that deck. Anything set in a forest. And yeah, it's beautiful. Let's skip past the majors and get into the minors. Silver birch again. I love silver birch. These kind of abandoned structures, because it's post-apocalyptic, so most people have been wiped out. Oh, I love spooky forest decks. Look at that. They're kind of ghosty beings. And the animals have taken over, and now everybody's ruled by the Bird King. It's really cool. I want to be ruled by a Bird King. That's the Queen of Swords. There's the King. Amazing. Oh, and that's the bear that I was talking about. Bear on a rock, like the chrysalis one. And the tower is a forest on fire. Beautiful. Yeah. So I don't know if I can get a sense of spooky into my forest drawings of the Marseille. I mean, I suppose depending on the colour scheme, right? Do I go with a dark colour scheme? Dark greens and browns. Maybe with little splashes of yellow. Anyway, let's think about that a bit more. And I think I've only got one more foresty deck. This is a fun one. Sweet Forager's Tarot. So here, travel with the Fool through the enchanted forest. See, anyone could write that on any deck and I'd just buy it straight away. I'm a pushover when it comes to forests. By Sam Rook, and this is a lovely little deck. Small, it came edged, this lovely green. And basically there's not much foresty about the images, but they're surrounded by this beautiful kind of forest border. So yeah, that's something to think with mine. I'm probably not going to change the actual arcana images. I might decorate them with, you know, like leafy patterns and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of the kind of elements will come in around the arcana. You know, imagine death riding through a wooded forest, or like the Marseille death, you know. Yeah, so this is all taking place in a enchanted forest, but the images themselves aren't particularly forest-like. I love this deck, it's so cool. I used it a lot when I was travelling earlier this year. I haven't had it out since. I should get it out again. It's really fun. Little mushrooms growing out of the trees. Yeah, it's the same frame on every picture, isn't it? I love chariots that are snails. That's not the only one. Who else is a chariot which is a snail? Isn't it in Mystical Moments or something? Beautiful. Yeah, so I think that is pretty much all of my forest decks. Oh, I'm totally lying, because there's the Forager's Daughter also has this kind of woodlandy theme. It's not necessarily like trees, it's not called forest, and it's not, you know, necessarily showing trees in each of the images. Why did I pull? Two of Swords. But you've got, you know, the plants and everything in the background, and then it does feel, I guess maybe because of this, that the frame is kind of foresty. And obviously when you go foraging, forests are a very good foraging place. I think she writes about it on the description of the deck as well. Yeah, you know, the forest floor, and it's covered in mushrooms and kind of decaying matter, and trees sprouting. Yeah, so again, kind of, actually this one might have as well, it might have some interesting associations, because she always writes about the associations of the different elements, so if there's like tree associations in the book as well. Beautiful. Four of Swords. Taking a moment. Wow. And the sycamore seeds blowing in the wind. Yeah, so that is another foresty kind of deck which I have in my collection. So I have a fair few. I've gone on long enough, but if you have any thoughts about associations for the majors, I'd love to hear them. Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully find time to work on these. I mean, it's going to take me ages because I'm working on 4 other decks as well, but and then also colouring them in. Yeah, I need to think about that colour palette, whether I go with greens or whether I do something a bit more, I don't know, a bit more contrastive, you know. But let me know what you think in terms of associations, or actually if you know decks that do that, just direct association between majors and trees. I guess also with things like runes, you've got you know, direct associations between so in a runic deck the runes may link to a particular tree as well. So yeah, but if you know of any, this is aventurine, I think. Yeah, green aventurine. Also made me think about trees. But yeah, if you know of any interesting decks that that do that, that associate trees with each of the arcana, let me know. And if you've got any ideas for the minors as well. But that's my idea, and that was my collection. That was my forest deck collection. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a lovely week.